guys, it's Hazeltail, and today I have a makeup tutorial for you guys. This one is for St. Patrick's Day. As you can tell, it is very green. I used the I Heart Revolution Heartbreakers palette in Lucky. This is all the shadow that I used. It's sort of based on one I did many years ago, like 2013 probably. But I wanted to redo it, just a green cut crease. I think the other one was matte, if I remember correctly, and obviously this one is shimmery. Now let's just get into the tutorial. I started with my brows and most of my face makeup already applied. As always, all the products I used will be listed in the description box. The first thing I did on camera was highlight my face with an iridescent light green color. I used a stick highlighter from Colourpop, the Light Stix in Skywatcher. I just swiped that on directly from the stick and then patted it in with my finger to blend it. Then I topped that with a similar shade of powder highlight, Emerald from the KVD Alchemist Holographic palette, using a tapered fluffy eyeshadow brush. To prime my eyes for eyeshadow, I used a tiny amount of the Milani eyeshadow primer and blended it from my eyelids up to the brow. All of my eyeshadow today is from the I Heart Revolution Heartbreakers Shadow Palette in Lucky. I went in with the medium shimmery green using an angled brush to do a light outline of where I wanted the cut crease to be. I started by drawing a line out from my outer corner, following the angle of my lower lash line. Then I drew the top line of a big, gently curved wing shape, connecting that to the first line. As I worked my way inwards, I started to follow the natural hollow of my eye, going almost all the way to my inner corner. This line doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to come back and clean it up later. I took the same shadow on a small, mostly flat eyeshadow brush and gently went back and forth along the lines. Then I took the spring green color from the palette on a small, fluffy brush and used that on the outer edge of the medium green. Now we're really going to define the crease. I used the matte forest green with the same angled brush we started with. Using only a small amount of product at a time, I softly applied the dark green along the inner edge of the medium green. I used the same method of starting with the outer corner first and then doing the crease. After that, I took the same dark color mixed with the first green on a tapered fluffy brush and applied it to the outer edge of the dark line. I realized after the fact that you could just use shade 6 instead of combining these two. That would be easier. We want the outer edge to be soft and blended. And then I reinforced the dark line of shadow with the same angled brush. To clean up the lids and prep them for color, I used the Garnier Micellar water and a pointed Q-tip. I mostly saturated the Q-tip and swiped it across my lid to clean up the edges of the green line. We want this side of the line to be sharp. After waiting a second for it to dry, I applied a thin layer of a white sticky base to the entire lid. For this, I used the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in Milk and a small flat synthetic brush. Then I topped that with the shimmery olive green from the palette. This color is really light and kind of pearly shimmery. At that point, I felt like the crease wasn't dark enough, so I applied a tiny bit more of the forest green with an angled brush. I would recommend doing this before you apply the white base, so you can clean it up further if you need to. I was just very careful about it. Then I quickly blended that with a clean, fluffy brush. I used the original shimmery medium green for the lower lash line. I picked it up on just the tip of a flat, fluffy brush. Then I ran that color under my lower lash line, applying softer pressure as I got farther away from my actual lash line. Basically, less pressure the farther down I went. On the inner corner, I used the same NYX pencil in Milk as a base. To top that off, I mixed the spring green with the yellow from the palette to create a super bright shimmery green. And I applied that with a pencil brush. Now it's time for the winged eyeliner. I used the Colourpop BFF liquid liner in numero uno on my upper lash line. I started by drawing a thick line on my lash line. Then I drew a line of black following the green line on the outer corner. This is going to be the bottom of the wing. Then I thickened the line. I didn't get great footage of this, unfortunately, so I'm going to fast forward through the rest of this. I wanted my eyes to be really defined, so I lined both my upper and lower waterlines with the L'Oreal lacquer liner in Blackest Black. I like using gel instead of pencil on the waterline because it lasts a lot longer. And yes, it's necessary to make a stupid face when you apply. You have to. Then I applied my favorite mascara, the L'Oreal Voluminous Million Lashes. I actually have a whole video about this, which I'll link in the cards and the description box, so I'm gonna just skip past the rest of this application. I actually tried several different lip colors with this look, but I just wasn't really feeling any of them. I decided to go for a slight shimmer by applying a little bit of the Colourpop Light Stix with my finger. And then topping that with a little bit of a cool-toned Profusion Sparkling Lip Topper. Basically a sparkly clear gloss. And I just blended that in with my finger as well. And this is the completed look. I really hope you guys liked the video, and if you did, let me know by hitting like. And hit the subscribe button if you want to see more from me. And I'm active on other social media, which I always have listed at the end of the video and the description box. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Baby, you give me midnight.